Have you ever felt a desire to create a feature wall in your home, but don't know where to start? Have you looked around your living room or even your bedroom and thought, it's missing something? That you like the space to reflect more of your own personal style? Personally, I think one of the best ways to do this simply in your home is with a feature wall. The easiest and fastest way to do this is with paint. On today's episode, I will go over how to choose the correct feature wall in your home. You're listening to Home DIYs for Busy Women, a safe space to dream, learn, make mistakes, and talk about the real stuff when it comes to home DIYs and beyond. I'm Sherry, a self taught, passionate DIYer, working mom of two girls living in the west coast of British Columbia. I am passionate about helping you create a home you love. Okay, so back to the episode. So, how do you go about choosing a feature wall in your home? Step one is to choose a wall that naturally draws attention. So, you don't want to force this. So, every room already has a focal point. Even if if you've never really consciously thought about this before, it's the wall your eye goes to the moment you walk into a room. So, for example, this might be behind your couch, or behind your bed, or even like behind a fireplace, or around the fireplace in your living room, or maybe the wall that your dining table sits against. Can really draw the eye there. So you want to kind of, when you walk into a space, kind of take inventory of where your eye is drawing. And so you want the feature wall to enhance what already makes sense in the room. So you don't want it to compete with like the existing feel of the space. Meaning that like if you randomly choose a wall just because it's empty, it can kind of feel awkward or like like a heavy feeling in your room. But when you paint a wall that already anchors the space, if your future wall will feel intentional and designed and even elevated. So here's something that I've learned from experience is if you have to explain why you chose that wall, it's probably not the right wall. So the right wall will just make sense. Okay. The second thing I want to talk about, and this one is more practical, but just as important, is you want to try to avoid big windows, vents, or like multiple doors. So big interruptions in the wall. I know it's tempting to think, well, this wall has no decor and like it's easy access, so I'll just use that one. But here's the problem. If you're choosing a wall with large windows, that will break up like the visual impact. Multiple air vents will interrupt like the clean lines that you're going for. And then if you're using a wall that has multiple doors, that will make the color feel more choppy instead of that bold look you're going for. So the feature wall works best when it has a solid, uninterrupted surface area. And that's what will give you that dramatic, cohesive look. So I kind of think of it like this is that paint needs space to breathe. If the wall is full of cutouts and interruptions, your eye just won't get that satisfying like wash of color. Instead of like a wow look, it'll look just visually busy. But of course, like it's easy to say this, but no house is perfect. So, like if your wall of choice has like smaller windows, like that's okay. A single vent, it's definitely not the end of the world. So we're not aiming like for perfection, but you want to have the least amount of interruptions as possible. Like if you have a choice between a clean, uninterrupted wall and one that looks super busy, you're going to want to choose the clean wall. And your future self will thank you. The third thing I want you to think about, and this one is big and it can be overlooked, is to consider the lighting. So, lighting will make or break your feature wall. Natural light, coming in from a window changes a paint color a lot more than people realize. A wall that faces a big window will look completely different at 8 a.m. in the morning than it will at 7 p.m. in the evening. And even like north facing light can make colors feel cooler, south facing light can warm everything up. So before you commit, stand in your room at different times of day and just kind of observe, is this wall well lit? Does it get beautiful natural light or is it always in shadow? Okay, because just take inventory and take a look at your space because here's the truth. A feature wall in a dark corner doesn't feel dramatic, it'll just feel heavy. So you want the colors to be showcased. If it's behind a sofa and gets like soft, diffused light, that'll look gorgeous. If it's behind your bed and catches that morning glow, the paint color will look so pretty. If it's next to like a lamp or sconces that highlight it at night, that'll look so dramatic and will look amazing. Because your lighting creates mood, and a feature wall is all about mood. You want the dramatics. So if you're choosing a deeper color, like a, say, a charcoal or a moody green, lighting matters even more. Without good light, it can really close the room in. But with the right light, it adds depth and sophistication. So you really don't want to skip this step. So watch the wall a day before you paint it, okay? Just so you can really kind of make sure you're feeling confident in your choice. Okay, so here's what I want you to remember while we wrap this up is a feature wall is not about being trendy, it's about being intentional. So you don't need to copy what's popular, you don't need to get the boldest color in the store, and you don't need to overcomplicate it. What you need is a wall that already makes sense in the room, has a clean well, it's clean, uninterrupted, and it's supported by good lighting. And that's it. Okay. So when you choose thoughtfully instead of impulsively, your home will really start to feel designed and not just decorated. Okay. And so I know a lot of you hesitate because you're scared of choosing wrong because it does seem like a big choice. But here's also another little bit of advice and maybe a permission slip for you is that paint is fixable. Okay. When I was painting our feature wall in our living room, which is like a dark charcoal gray, I was nervous. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh God, this is going to take forever to paint over if I don't like it. Um, but it was fixable and I'm so glad I did it. So paint is fixable. Confidence is built by doing, okay? Because I was very unconfident when I was painting that dark gray, but I felt much better after I did it. And I was like, okay, that was a good call. And sometimes the difference between a room you tolerate and a room you love is just one wall. Like the future walls that I've done make me really love our space that much more. So go look at your space tonight and notice where your eye goes. Pay attention to the light and maybe, just maybe, that'll be your next project. So if you've enjoyed this episode and found the information valuable, please share this podcast with a friend. And thank you for listening. And from one DIYer to another, happy decorating. Have a great day.